Larry Steinhouse, and welcome to today's Money Chat Now interview. In this portion of the show, I take the opportunity to interview interesting people and introduce you to their products, their services, or just their good intentions. Hey, if you'd like to be a guest on my show, you can go to thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. That's thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. Let us know that you want to be interviewed, and I'm sure we can make that happen. Hey, let me tell you a little bit about today's guest. So my guest today is an award-winning author of 15 best-selling books and 8 #1 international bestsellers. Some of his many titles include Rings of Truth, Do This, Get Rich for Entrepreneurs, Unleashing the Authentic Power, The Power of Letting Go, Cracking the Rich Code, and The Entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, my guest has launched 28 successful business ventures. He has served as a success strategist to over 300 corporations worldwide and was recently named one of the world's top 50 speakers and top 20 success coaches. He was presented with the Best of the Best award out of 100 contributors of all time to be in the direct selling industry. In the past 44 years, he has presented seminars throughout the world, sharing his success strategies and life-enhancing realizations with over 5,000 audience, totaling 2 million people from all walks of life. He's also a friend that I admire. I got to introduce you to my guest, Jim Britt. Hey, Jim, what's going on, man? I'm so excited you're here. It's like an honor to interview you.
Oh, it's great, man. Great to connect here.
You know, it's funny because, I tell us, we've been friends for, 8, 9, 10 years now. I don't even know, maybe longer. And we've actually never been in the same room together.
Never met. Yeah, just virtually. Here we are.
I know. And I find it amazing that you're still younger than me. Or at least you look younger than me. Tell everybody how old you are, because I got to tell you, I've never seen anybody look so good in my life. I'm telling you, you look better than I do, and I know you're at least 1 year older than I am.
Yeah, probably at least 20 years older.
Yeah, right. I know, it's amazing. So I got to know, because you're like one of those guys who got started early in the industry. You were in the direct selling industry, and your story always fascinates me. I actually read it. I think I read it in one of your books. I can't remember which one, but how it all started. Why don't you tell the audience how it all started?
Well, it's interesting when I look back on it, because I never planned doing what I'm doing. I never planned to write a book. I'm a high school dropout because of English. Is the reason I left school. So, I dropped out of school. I went to work in a gas station pumping gas, and then I got my dream job probably about 2 years into the pumping gas at a factory working on an assembly line. And I made $1.67 an hour. Wow. And there were 9,000 employees. They rated you on an efficiency rating. If you did under 85% efficiency, you got fired. And wow. Anything over that, you got into a little bonus pool, which was almost nothing. But I was running about 450% efficiency. So I was doing the work of 4.57 people, but still making $1.67 an hour. And I got introduced to a direct sales company. And long story short, I remember at the end of my first year, I'm standing looking out my kitchen window, and I didn't know what to do. I looked to the left where my driveway was, where my cars would normally parked, and both of them had been repoed. I looked to the right, and I could see the front door, and there was a notice on the door from the sheriff. Your home had been foreclosed. He said, you got to be out in 5 days by order of the sheriff.
Wow.
And all of my furniture had been taken except for a few sticks that we had. And I stood there and I thought, what am I going to do? I got a wife and a child. I'm going to be homeless in 5 days. I don't have a vehicle. Maybe I should go back to the factory. I thought about that for about 10 seconds. I'm going, no, I'm not going to give up. Now, keeping in mind over that year, that first year in the direct sales business, my commitment was to talk to 10 people every single day about my business and my product. And at the end of that year, standing there in my kitchen, I had talked to over 3,650 wow. people, and I made one sale.
Oh, no.
And I said, I'm not going to give up. And as a result of it, it was like a series of miracles took place in the next 5 days. Wow. I had an opportunity presented to me by the one sale that I made, had an opportunity presented to me that over the next 12 months earned me almost $500,000.
Okay, wait a minute. You gotta slow down a minute because I'm like blown away here. So first of all, you talked to over 3,600 people and you only made one sale. Were you like literally the worst salesperson on the planet?
I was doing it all wrong. I had never sold anything. I didn't know what to do. I was out there just flapping my jaws, telling people what I have, and I was all excited, but nobody bought.
I mean, I would imagine one or two people would have bought out of pity.
Yeah, you would think so. But the one was somebody that I did some work for during high school, cleaning up around a construction site, and so he bought from me. He needed the product. I sold him some carpet shampoo.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to do. I really didn't. I mean, I was a youngster. I didn't know where to turn. Nobody I knew had any more money than I did. And I had 15 cents in my pocket that day. That's all I had. But this opportunity presented to me included a vehicle, expenses, a 3-bedroom furnished apartment.
Whoa.
And $300 a week coming in, which was more money than I ever made in my life.
Okay, what was this? This is amazing.
Well, then the second thing that happened was somebody knocked on my door that very day, and it was somebody from the company that I was working with, and he sat with me for 2 hours and taught me what I was doing wrong.
Wow.
And that business took off. So in the next 12 months, from 15 cents in my pocket, having talked to 3,650 people the prior year, to the next year, I was a millionaire.
Wait, in 1 year you became a millionaire?
Yep, 1 year.
That's pretty impressive. Now, I've been a millionaire 3 times.
Yeah, a millionaire back then was
a lot of money. I know. I got you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've been a millionaire 3 times.
The rest of my life.
Yeah, I've also gone bankrupt and lost it all. So I do know like the rock bottom, and it's funny because we talk about rock bottom all the time. When you hit it, all of a sudden things happen. When you just give in and say, you know what, I'm going to just do it. Like it sounds like what you did. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And now what do you do?
I mean, I wouldn't give up because my only hope was either making that work or going back to the factory.
Yeah.
And that fellow that sat with me, it was very simple. I mean, he says, how do you know if you have a good prospect? And I said, I guess if they buy from you. And he said, no. How do you know if they're even a potential to buy from you? I said, I don't know. He said, obviously you don't. And he said, you got to arrive at 3 destinations. He said, do they have a pain or a problem? Do they want to solve it? And can you solve it?
Yeah.
And if you don't have all 3, you don't have a prospect.
Absolutely true.
And I said, well, how do I know if they have a pain or problem? He said, well, it's not out there flapping your jaws like you've been doing the last 12 months. He said, you got to ask questions and listen. And I said, what kind of questions? He said, it doesn't matter. I'm going, what? And he said, no, you want to get into a conversation. He said, if you meet somebody at a party, it may be a different conversation if you met somebody in a coffee shop or at church or someplace like that. So he said, you get into a conversation and you start asking them, what do they do about their family, about their hobbies, about different things. And he said, I guarantee you, if you ask questions and you really, really listen. And he said, if you're always thinking this, he said, in your life, he said, if you're always thinking this when you meet a new person, he said, you'll never lack for money, you'll never lack for friends, and you'll build a network worldwide. He said, here it is. If you live your life this way, every time you meet that person, ask yourself, what can I do to help this person?
I love it.
And he said, and you ask questions and listen. He said, sometimes you help people with your products. Sometimes you help people in other ways that you don't get paid for. He said, it doesn't matter. You just always looking to help somebody. He said, and you'll get good at that. Just ask questions and listen. And let one question lead to the next until you know something about that person. And
who was it? Was it Zig Ziglar who said it, or was it Jim Rohn who said?
No. Actually, the guy's name was O.J. Hebrank.
Oh, and you know exactly what I'm saying. Go ahead.
I saw him one time. That was it.
I'm talking about the guy who said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. Was that Zig Ziglar?
I think that was Zig Ziglar that said that. Yeah, it was Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, amazing. Now you also, it's funny because you know a lot of people that I know, and all of you guys trained under the famous Jim Rohn.
Yeah, well, actually, I met Jim in that direct sales company. He was the trainer in that company, and he was unknown basically. And we became friends, and later we ended up as business partners. And back in the mid to late '70s, and I did such a good job promoting him that it forced me to kind of get into speaking myself, which wasn't an interest of mine
Oh, that's funny.
because I was a good promoter. We ended up with 14 offices and about 300 full-time salespeople and selling tens of thousands of tickets a month
Wow.
to Jim Rohn's events. And that's where Jim actually became known. But yeah, he was a mentor. I never really looked at him as a mentor back then because, I was promoting him and he was our product. but yet when I look back now, I learned so much from him. And a lot of other speakers out there that were connected in the same way that I had no idea. When we went to Jim's memorial, there were probably 30 speakers there that gave Jim a lot of credit for where they are.
Wow. I could just imagine the speeches if they're all speakers, Pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, Tony worked for me for about 4 years, I think, 4 to 5 years. He looked up to Jim as a mentor, and I was more of his trainer and coach, I guess. But yeah, we still stay in touch today, and he's done quite well.
Yeah, I think he does some kind of speaking or something, right? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty impressive. You're very connected. You're also connected to T. Harv Eker too, aren't you?
Oh yeah. Harv and I are good friends, and I mean, back when I started, I kind of intuitively thought, well, I need to brand myself, and how do I do that? I didn't call it branding. I just needed a way to become known. So I went and met all of the top speakers in the country. I flew to New York and met with Earl Nightingale, had dinner with him, did 3 seminars with Earl. Og Mandino was there, did some seminars with him. Brian Tracy, Dennis Waitley, and I had a business together, and we did seminars together. Same with Tom Hopkins and different people out there that I connected with to be able to say I got on stage with these guys, and that was kind of how I.
When are you inviting me on stage with you?
What was that?
When are you inviting me on stage with you?
Well, you're invited anytime. Come on out.
I'm coming. You just let me know the day. I'll be there. I absolutely will be there. I know I put you on the spot, so now the entire world just heard you say that you will bring me on stage. So I'm going to be on stage with you. Absolutely. You just let me know. And if T. R. Becker's there and Tony Robbins is there and all those guys, that would be even more impressive, Jim.
That would be, yeah.
Hey, hold on, Jim. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. So we're going to take a break here, and when we get back, Jim and I will be discussing some of the traits that all successful people have in common, and I'm wondering if you out there have any of them, and we're going to find out after this. We'll be right back.
Okay, so you thought about buying and selling real estate. You've thought about investing in the stock market, but don't know where to start. Well, what if you could find a place to unlock strategies to master both real estate and the stock market, all without the headache? That place is Investor Schooling, hosted by Larry Steinhouse, an expert in real estate, financial literacy, and the ins and outs of the stock market. You can attend Investor Schooling in person or online 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate, and you will learn mastery of stock techniques such as options and covered calls. You will even get a chance to ask one of your burning questions to the stock options sultan, the master of picks and plays. Call 866-424-2829 for free information and receive a complimentary pass to attend classes, or register online at investorschooling.com. Don't delay. These passes are limited. So what are you waiting for? Call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829. Or visit investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now, the interview portion. We are currently interviewing my friend Jim Britt, and if you'd like to be a guest on this show, please go to thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. That's thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest, and tell me why I should interview you. All right, Jim. Before we started, we talked about the fact that some entrepreneurs, or at least I mentioned that entrepreneurs have the similar traits. So tell me about what you've found about entrepreneurs having similar traits.
Well, a few years back, I went on the road with a camera crew and interviewed 12 mega millionaires. They're all in different industries. They all had to have started with nothing, and they all had to be worth at least 200 million. And one was a billionaire. And by the third interview, I'm listening, I'm going, they all have the same traits in common. They may not express it in the same way, but I thought it's exactly the same. And sure enough, all the way through the whole 12 was the same. And number one, if you want change in your life, you have to desire change. Pretty simple, right?
Sure.
But why is it that 80% of the people who, maybe even 90% in some cases, that desire change never change? Everybody wants to make more money, live a better life, have a nice car and, maybe a boat, whatever. Everybody wants those things and wants that freedom to be able to do what they want to do. But yet 80 to 90% of the population out there doesn't have enough money to do that. They just get by.
So I'm
they have
curious,
a desire.
I believe they really don't want it. That's why they don't have it.
Well, they have to go to the next step. And that's the problem. The next step is they have to be a decision maker. They have to decide they're going to do something and follow through with it. And it has to be a 100% commitment to it, not 110. That's blowing smoke. Right. Not 99. It's just you're committed or not committed. That's a decision, because that's a foundation that everything is built upon. But this 80% out there, when they make a decision, if this was a full decision, a circle, they leave a little bit of an opening somewhere, and that's their escape route. Well, the timing wasn't right. Well, I had to get ready to get going. Well, I couldn't come up with the money. Well, it rained outside or whatever. They come up with excuses that create doubt and uncertainty. And within a week or two or three, they're back doing what they did before. And it always puzzled me that people would do that, because I looked at myself, that first year and that second year in business, man, when I saw the opportunity, I said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get rich doing it, period. And that's why I kept at it, because my only other option was go back to the factory for $1.67 an hour and taking home about $50 a week. I mean, that wasn't a great option. So I made the decision I'm going to move forward no matter what. I was going to do no less than whatever it takes. But then when you make the decision, you've got to take action on it. And there are so many people that they're always getting ready to get going because they're afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid to move. They're afraid to take the step because they're afraid they're going to fail. And fear is a made up story. It's just a story that we create in our minds that's not real. Somebody asked me a few days ago, they said, well, I said, all fears are made up. And he said, well, what if a bear or something's chasing you through the woods? I said, it's a made up story. He said, yeah, but it's a bear chasing you. He said, that's real fear. And I said, no, you're making up in your mind what's going to happen if he catches you. I said, but I would run too. So, but we make up this stuff in our minds, So you've got to take action, and you got to do it quickly. I mean, in today's world, man, if you don't take action, somebody else is going to do it before you do.
Oh, sure.
So you got to move on it, even if it's little steps. And you may have to prepare something for a new business or something, but whatever you can do today, do it. That's going to move you closer to it, and keep yourself engaged. And then that brings up the next thing, because when you start taking action, if you're going to go from where you are now to where you want to be in the future, you're going to endure some pain. I mean, some pain of changing. Was it painful for me to go out and talk to 10 people every single day for a year? You bet it was. Was it painful to experience that much rejection? Yes. And people ask me today, how do you handle rejection? I'm going, I did that already. 3,650 times.
That's right, that's true.
Yeah, I said, that's another thing that you make up in your mind, the rejection. So you've got to be willing to endure some pain, because the you that you are now can't have the things that you want. You got to become somebody different. So every new income level, every new life level requires a different you. And if you look back on your life, you can see that. I mean, you've changed. I've changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
you and I, we've done it. So and actually, I think it's about 10 years now. You and I have. I mean, you've probably seen a lot of change in me, because 10 years ago, that was when I had lost everything and I was rebuilding, and we had several conversations, and I was pretty impressed by a lot of things you did. I had no idea who you were, I think it was I don't remember. I think it was Alan Lowe maybe who introduced us, but I don't remember. Either way, or maybe it was Tony Canuli who he passed away last year. That was sad. One of them
Oh yeah, no,
introduced.
yeah,
Yeah, one of them. I think it was Tony who introduced us, and I was very
that might have
impressed by
been.
you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's success at anything is simple. I mean, if it's complex, nobody's going to follow it anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's true.
if you got the desire to change, you make a decision to change, you take action to change, and you're willing to endure the pain. I mean, I look back at when I first started speaking. I remember one of my salespeople booked me in to talk for 20 minutes, and it scared the heck out of me. I mean, I went out.
Right.
I knew it for about 30 days, and the day before, man, I'd go out and I'd throw up. I was so
Wow.
sick that I was scared to death. And when I got up to talk that first time, all I remember was I could hear a voice. It sounded like it was outside me, not coming from me. And it was almost like I was blinded. I couldn't see the audience. It was like they were a blur. And I spoke for about 20 minutes. They clapped. I left the guy there that booked me in there. I went out to the car waiting on him. And I said to myself, never again will
Wow.
I ever put myself in that position.
Wow.
And the more I stood there, I thought, well, you got one or two choices. Never do it again, or do it often until you get better at
Sure.
it. And that's the latter. And I put the word out to the 300 salespeople we had, and I said, I will go do a presentation for any one of you, up to 3 a day for 50 people or more.
Wow.
And they started booking me in, and I got better and better at it. That's how I got into it. But man, I was scared to death probably for the first 100,000 people that I spoke in front of. I was still scared. Today I'm not. I'll work through that. But you got to become somebody different, man.
Yeah, and as a speaker and an educator, I do the same thing. I'm teaching people all the time, and I remember the first few times. I mean, many years ago, I noticed that the first 2 to 3 minutes of my presentation, I would talk really, really fast because I was really nervous and I didn't know what I was going to say. And then I started to realize that people can hear me better if I talk slower, if I speak. If I speak in full sentences instead of jumping myself back and forth. It just changed. And then I started going on the radio every day. And when I went on the radio every day, the same thing. The first couple of times I went on the radio, I did the same thing. I spoke really fast. And then I realized, okay, slow it down. In fact, I remember there was something that you taught me, which is hysterical, because I use it all the time now. I use a teleprompter all the time now. And it was something that you had said on a video when I first met you. You looked at my video and you actually said, your video's awful. You need to use a teleprompter because you look like you're reading. I don't remember exactly what it was, the way you said it, and I was like, okay, so I got a teleprompter and I started using it, and sure enough, how much more I got so much better. All right, we have about 2 more minutes, but so tell me a little bit about Cracking the Rich Code, because I know that that's where you were going, and this series of books that you created is phenomenal.
Yeah, well, Cracking the Rich Code, I have a series I'm doing with Kevin Harrington from the TV show Shark Tank, and Tony Robbins endorsed the series. We're now in book number 9 in the series. It's a collaboration. We have 20 co-authors in each book, plus Kevin and I, and it's a PR, marketing, branding, lead generation system. And we have our own social media network that we've set up, a community, but our own social media platform that has 9 different components of content that our co-authors post. And we've got right now 180 co-authors that are just fabulous people. I mean, talent beyond measure. I mean, it's just so great. And so that's part of the book series. So we're always looking for co-authors to be able to contribute, usually coaches, speakers, entrepreneurs, people generally looking to help other people is kind of the type of person we're looking for. And it's just a great series, having a big impact, and it's a great way to, especially for somebody new as an entrepreneur or a coach or a speaker, it's a great way to brand yourself, to say, hey, I'm endorsed by Tony Robbins. I'm in a book with a star from Shark Tank. All of our books are #1 international bestsellers. Anyway, it's a fabulous opportunity.
And they get to know you, and that's the best part.
Yeah, and I'm a part of it too. So, yeah. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
it's
I know of Tony Robbins. I've actually been to Brian Tracy's house, but I know of Brian. I'm sorry, I know of Tony Robbins, but I've never met him. I know you're a nice guy. I just don't know if Tony Robbins is a nice guy. I just know you are.
yeah, Tony's a nice guy. He's got a
I'm sure
different
he is.
style than I
I'm
do,
sure he
but
is. Yeah, I'm sure he is.
yeah, he's a nice guy.
He's probably similar
But
to
yeah,
my
it's just
style in your face. You're a very humble guy. I'm a very in your face kind of guy.
Yeah, well, I just like to tell things like it is and keep it simple. I mean, I don't write all of my books that I've written are they're not written above a 10th grade education because I didn't go past that. So
Real
I
quick,
don't
Jim,
use any big words.
tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you can reach me at jimbritt@jimbritt.com if you'd like more info on the Cracking the Rich Code. I also have a Cracking the Rich Code program online. That's a 4-month program helping people to change their subconscious
I'm sorry, we're just out of time.
programming.
Do you have links to that on your jimbritt.com website?
I do have.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So they can reach you at jimbritt.com, and they can reach you at is it Jim at Jimbritt or Jimbritt at Jimbritt?
jimbritt@jimbritt.com
All right.
or crackingtherichcode.com as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I gotta say thank you, Jim. I totally appreciate you. I want to thank all of you out there also for watching the show. My name is Larry Steinhouse. I am the host of Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now is live every morning at 7:30 a.m. and you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And of course, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, go to thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest and make it a profitable day.